One coin ruled the oceans before the dollar existed. China pulled silver from the world like a magnet. Here is how paperless China created the first global dollar. Stay with me. Today, we follow Spanish silver from mines to Chinese markets. We travel from the mountain of Potosí to the Manila Galleons and into Guangzhou stalls. A simple tax rule in China made silver king. By the end, you will see why policy creates currency demand. You will also see how that same logic still props up the US dollar. This is education, not financial advice. Start at a mountain that glittered like fortune and doom. High in the Andes stood the silver peak of Potosí. Miners worked day and night in brutal conditions. Spain minted the whole into 8 reales, the pieces of 8. Those coins were round, milled, and trusted across ports. At its peak, Potosí produced a giant share of global silver. Silver was heavy to carry but light in paperwork. The world needed a buyer with endless demand. China was that buyer. Meanwhile, China's money system leaned hard on silver. Ming officials passed the single whip tax reform. Grain and labor payments were converted into silver payments. If you paid taxes, you needed silver taels. Merchants priced big deals in silver by weight, not copper cash. A tax rule quietly rewired national money demand. Policy, not emperors, picked the metal of choice. That choice created a silver vacuum that pulled in coins. Demand met supply across an ocean. Now bridge the Pacific with one annual route. Spanish ships sailed from Acapulco to Manila each year. Those were the famous Manila Galleons, floating vaults of silver. They loaded pieces of 8 by the chest and crate. In Manila, silver met Asian goods and eager brokers. Coins traded for silk, porcelain, spices, and tea. Chinese junks and merchants moved those coins onward to ports. From Manila to Fujian to Guangzhou, silver changed hands fast. A yearly voyage fed China's constant tax hunger. Profits exploded for traders on this route for a simple reason. Silver did not have the same price everywhere. In Europe, silver to gold sat near 12 to 1. In China, the ratio floated closer to 8 to 1. Buy silver where it was cheap, in Europe. Sell it where it was dear, in China. Arbitrage printed fortunes without printing money at all. Price gaps turned ships into moving mints of profit. Where money flows, rules follow. The Spanish dollar became the default global coin. It had uniform weight and reliable silver content. Milled edges fought off clipping and fraud at scale. Chinese merchants added chop, marks to test and certify coins. A coin covered in chops was trusted, not damaged. Colonists in the Americas used the Spanish dollar daily. The early U.S. even pegged value to that coin. Standards build trust, and trust builds networks that outlive empires. That is how a coin becomes a language. Silver rivers do not run forever without storms. Mint scandals, wars, and trade bans hit the pipeline. When flows slowed, silver grew scarce in Chinese markets. Scarcity raised silver's price and squeezed anyone owing taxes. Credit tightened, small debtors suffered, and trade stalled. Money is a network, and weak links snap under stress. Confidence depends on steady convertibility and steady supply. Break those anchors and prices swing hard. The lesson is older than any bank charter. Here is what truly crowned the first global dollar. It was not imperial speeches or shiny metal worship. It was a tax rule that created guaranteed buyers. It was a standard coin that reduced fraud and friction. It was a trade route that moved value at scale. It was a network so deep that trust became automatic. Policy, standards, and networks beat metal weight every time. Money follows acceptance more than flags. That is still true today. Look at your wallet through this silver lens. Your dollars work because taxes are paid in dollars. Banks and courts settle claims in dollars by law. Cards and payment apps plug into dollar rails everywhere. Standards, audits, and enforcement make the network predictable. That is why dollars clear fast and spend wide. Network effects beat alternatives even if they seem shinier. Money is memory backed by rules people believe. Belief scales when design is credible. Now connect the past to a modern question. The US dollar has stayed dominant for clear reasons. Tax demand, deep markets, and legal power align. Standards and settlement are boring and reliable. Global trade still prices goods in dollar terms. The network is vast and switching costs are high. That winning mix echoes China's silver century. Policy created demand, and the network locked it in. It is not magic, it is design. Here are the 3 clean takeaways you can use. Taxes drive currency demand more than speeches do. Standards reduce friction and build cross-border trust. Networks decide winners because everyone wants acceptance. When those 3 align, a coin turns into money. When they break, scarcity or inflation punishes believers. Follow the rules behind the money, not the metal. That is how you avoid stories that end in pain. History is a user manual, not trivia. Remember the arc from Potosí to Guangzhou. A mountain of silver met a nation of tax bills. A standard coin met a global trading network. Policy picked the buyer, roots moved the metal, and trust sealed the deal. That is how a Spanish coin became Asia's favorite money. That is also how its standard shaped the early American dollar. The past is not past in your wallet. You still spend the echoes every day. Design beats weight. If this helped you see how hidden rules move your money, subscribe now.